I'm joined tonight in the studio by Dr. Sonia Adesara, a spokesperson for Doctors for Choice. They are campaigning for the decriminalisation of abortion. And we're also joined by pro-life activist Aisling Goodison from the Centre for Bioethical Reform UK. Ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to come in tonight. A big moment for both sides of this debate, an historic night tonight. I'll come to you first, Dr. Adesara, if I may. Your reaction to this, a victory in your eyes?
Yeah, relieved, slightly emotional. This is something that we've been campaigning for many years. You know, this vote today will put an end to the horrendous police investigations many women in this country have been undergoing in recent years for suspected illegal abortions. This is a vote today that puts women and their right to choose and their health and their care first. This is a vote today that also signifies to the rest of the world. You know, when we have a world right now where we have the President of the United States of America rolling back reproductive rights in America and actually across the world, cutting funding to reproductive and abortion care. This is a vote today that signifies that this country is pro-choice and pro-women and puts women and their healthcare first. So I'm relieved, overjoyed, and actually really, really grateful to not just the politicians, but actually to the thousands and thousands of people in this country who have, in recent years, but particularly in the past few weeks, have been writing to the MP, signing petitions, going to Parliament, sending emails. There's so many people across the country who've been campaigning for this and working hard for this. So grateful for that. And this is, I think, a good step forward for women's health and women's rights. There's more to be done, of course, but this is a really welcome step forward and long overdue. So, yeah, full of relief and just very relief and happy emotions today of what this means for women in this country.
Yeah, it is a very emotional day for women, whatever side of the debate you're on. And Aisling, I know you come at it from the other side of that debate. Can you talk to me about how you're feeling tonight? Because, this decision taken by MPs, but Sky News has done some independent polling that's saying that the majority of the public actually back the outcome this evening.
I think if people really understood what this meant, that they wouldn't feel that way. At the moment, I'm feeling quite heartbroken because I'm like, I'm 6 months pregnant at the moment. And the reality is, thank you very much, but for some women, it wouldn't be that case. Some women who are desperate, 6 months pregnant or more, it's now legal for them to do backstreet abortions on themselves at home. It's not legal for doctors, but if I wanted to, I could order pills by post. No one would have to know. I could keep them and administer them to myself all the way up to the point of birth.
I might be being confused. Has today not made it safer for women who are in the later stages of pregnancy?
Because I can take those pills. You've seen so many different cases. We're talking about investigations of women here that you're saying, isn't it barbaric that these women are being investigated for illegal abortions after the 24-week limit? But what you're saying now, let me just finish. What you're saying is we've removed all the investigations. So I could take those pills. I'm feeling my baby kicking at the moment. I could take those pills, cause myself harm, and kill my unborn child up to the point of birth.
Dr. Adesara come in here because you will have spoken to women in the situation that Aisling is describing.
Yeah. So the first thing to say, the vote today doesn't actually change the Abortion Act. So it doesn't change how abortion care is provided in this country, doesn't change who can access abortion, and it doesn't change that. The investigations that I've been talking about, so what we have in this country is we have the Abortion Act that came in 1967, which deems that a woman can be protected from prosecution if she has an abortion under certain parameters. And if that abortion was to happen outside of the parameters, then she could be prosecuted under a law dating back to the Victorian era. So that's what we take a woman outside of that law. And the investigations that have happened in recent years, so let's say a woman has had a miscarriage or has had a stillbirth under circumstances of what deemed suspicious. Let's say she'd considered having an abortion earlier, then she's been subject to police investigations. Now, that's going to stop.
That's in very, very few cases.
And that should stop.
You're talking about a tiny percentage of cases. You're talking about since 1861, 3 women have been convicted with an up to 3-year sentence. That's 3 women. You're talking about, but at the moment, with pills by post, 1 in 17 women are hospitalised because of pills by post. Do you agree that abortion harms women?
But are they doing that in
should...
late-term pregnancy? Pills by post came in and it came to prevalence during lockdown because women were finding themselves, particularly vulnerable women, finding themselves in situations where they were pregnant and they didn't want to be for whatever reason. I think we're sort of conflating the issue with how we get access to an abortion to the safeguarding of women. I mean, Aisling...
I think we're talking about if we want...
I can explain this quite clearly.
Well,
so there's 2 ways to have an abortion. You can have a medical abortion by an abortion pill or a surgical abortion. Now, a medical abortion, and we changed this due to coronavirus, when people couldn't travel, what used to previously happen under the law, that you had to have the abortion pill in a licensed abortion provider. So you couldn't have the pill in a GP surgery or anywhere else. It had to happen under a licensed provider. Because we couldn't have women travelling under COVID, we brought in regulations that said that for women where it was suitable and it was for their preference, that after a consultation...
And this is still prevalent now, is it?
This is still happening now. So after a consultation, you have the abortion pill at home.
Perhaps you can explain to me how you're sort of seeing this in the eyes of what has happened today, because for so many people, the fact that this has been decriminalised, women will come out from their homes to seek proper medical advice in a proper medical environment, because whatever their reason may be for wanting to terminate a pregnancy after 24 weeks, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find a woman that takes that decision lightly. I'm sure you agree with that point. But the argument is, and you'll give me the rebuttal to this, the argument is that by decriminalising abortion, we have a more open, more tolerant society where it can be spoken about and vulnerable women can go without shame to their GP or their local hospital. And it might be by pill, it might be by medical procedure, but it brings it out in the open. And I think what you're referring to is women and girls getting these pills through the post without any medical guidance and doing it without any sort of support.
Right, because of the COVID regulations, you removed in-clinic consultations and ultrasounds, which were very important for understanding how far along a woman is in her pregnancy. So we've seen almost an epidemic in women taking pills when they don't actually know how far along they are in their pregnancies. We don't know. As we've had the case with a lady who recently took the pills and aborted her 26-week baby. And
that is their choice.
No, but she said, if I knew that I was 26 weeks along, I wouldn't have done that to myself or my baby.
But is that
so
not
we
our
are
choice
harming,
not to have an ultrasound?
No, but hang on, you're sending the pills by post because this is as well as for this. So 1 second, as well as this being. We're saying this is about women. It's actually about abortion business. We're cutting out the middleman. We're sending pills by post to women who aren't having ultrasounds or consultations to know where they are in their pregnancies. And it's harming women. It's not fair to them.
Telemedicine, you can only have the abortion pills at home before 10 weeks.
Yeah, but that's not
by the law. And that hasn't changed today.
That hasn't changed today. But that's not happening. And I think also there is no protections and safeguards for these women or for their babies. And what is happening to these babies? Would you be in favour of reparations for women that have been harmed by abortion?
The vast majority of abortions are early. 98% of them, there will be 90% are happening before 12 weeks, 98% before 18 weeks. Late abortions that you are referring to, these are a minority, less than 1%. And when these are happening...
Which is still more than 2,500
And when these are
abortions.
happening, these are extremely difficult and complex
but
situations.
Illegal for women to do it.
Often when the woman's health is at risk, or when her life is at risk.
Okay, but you've just made it legal for her to do it to herself.
And that hasn't. That's not what's happened.
How's that loving? How's that kind?
That's not what's happened today.
But it is because you've just taken out the criminal process, which would safeguard her against knowing how far along she is in her pregnancy and taking pills that would kill her child.
Hang on a second, Aisling, can I ask the question? Do you support one of these women who takes an abortion pill at home being investigated and prosecuted by police?
Again, going back to, is this actually happening? And if these prosecutions
that is
happening,
what could happen under the existing law until this change
Why do investigations happen? Laws exist to protect lives, to protect people from harms being committed against them.
Actually,
now, this is being taken seriously. We're talking about after 24 weeks here. So can I just finish this? Yeah. We're talking about after 24 weeks here, legalising abortions in these cases, because that's what decrim actually means. You're legalising it up to the point of birth. Up to the very point of birth.
Yeah, but again, as the doctor points out, that's very rare. Dr. Adesara, I want you to respond.
So, prior to today, a small number of late abortions do happen, and these are and post 24 weeks regardless.
Why? Why do they happen?
So before the vote happened, a very small number of late abortions do happen when the woman's life is at risk. An abortion can happen post 24 weeks. So there's a few circumstances where it happens, and these are all extremely horrendous situations for the mums and the families to go through. But they do happen because and it is horrendous. Now I don't think we should be stigmatising or shaming those women who are having to go through late abortions.
And it's a very small number.
It's
about safeguarding. That's what we're talking about, not stigmatising.
But that's not changed today. So
but it's about safeguarding, but it's not about making these women criminals. That's what I can't get my head around. I totally accept your point.
Right.
And I know that you sit here 30 weeks pregnant, having been 30 weeks pregnant myself. It's a difficult headspace to be in. So to put yourself in the shoes of a mother who's...
But why is it difficult?
Yeah, but that's the thing. We are in a privileged position. We sit here as privileged individuals who, haven't been abused or subjected to any of that. But there are some women that have, and we can't understand their circumstances.
We're not talking about... Let's be real here. We're not talking about criminalising. We're talking about protecting.
Well, we've just decriminalised it, so that's what we're debating tonight.
But what I'm talking about is, when you're saying criminalising, why do laws exist? They exist to protect lives.
But they also evolve, don't they? Because this comes from the Victorian era.
Shouldn't they evolve towards...
This is a question for both of you. We're running out of time, but look, this has happened now, and it will move forward. Is the best thing to come from this, for both of you, on opposite sides of the debates, is better safeguarding and regulation for abortions? Now that it's brought out of the shadows and nobody's fearing police going through their phones or looking through their medical history, is it not going to make it safer for those women who, whether you agree with their choices or not, they are going to make these decisions?
Absolutely. And I think, we have to be putting... For these women that are in some of these cases where, the case that you're referring to, if a woman in late stages is considering having an abortion, and I can't, she must be in an extremely difficult situation, potentially very vulnerable woman, don't we need to make sure that that woman is able to get the care and the support that they need, and that we can show them compassion? Okay. I think in prison, criminalising those women is the wrong thing.
We are running out of time. A brief response from you, Ashley.
My final response from you is actually, women need more protection, and actually I would be in favour.
Police when it comes to their healthcare.
I would be in favour of reparations for women that have been harmed by abortion, and I'd hope that you'd be in favour with me, because reparations would mean that there would be reform in favour of protecting them and their children. There would be compensation for the harms that have been committed against them. We've got 81% increase in mental health risks to women, 250% increase in drug abuse.
I'm in favour.
So you're talking
prioritising women.
And would you be in favour of reparations for women that have been harmed by abortion?
Their health and putting women and their health and their care first. And
listen, we must leave it there. We have been debating this issue for decades. We were never going to get into it all inside 10 minutes of a news programme, but I think you've given excellent accounts of both of your points of view, which I think is really important to represent. The vote has gone your way tonight. It hasn't gone yours, but thank you for coming in and speaking so passionately and eloquently about a very difficult and emotional subject for all women, regardless of what side they're on. Thank you so much. Ashley Goodison there from the Centre for Bioethical Reform UK, and Dr. Sonia Adesara, Doctor for Choice UK. Really appreciate it. Thank you.